James Gunn's DCU has one plan to make it stand apart from the MCU projects, and fans are already happy. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn is engaged in the development of his first DCU film, Superman. However, it is not just the Kryptonian hero who makes his debut within the next year or two. Gunn has announced other DC projects like Peacemaker Season 2, Waller, and Creature Commandos, which will come before or after Superman. The Suicide Squad director has a clear-cut plan to not make a mess out of the plethora of projects. He will be avoiding the heavily interconnected movie route for DC, announcing that every story would work as an individual story. Fans applaud the DC CEO for the move, as they're fed up with Marvel's chain of interconnected movies, which is currently leading to its downfall. Will fans have to watch Superman and Lanterns to understand the Authority film in the DCU? One fan posed this question to DC head and Superman director James Gunn on Threads, where he answers all fan questions. The fan raised a genuine concern that has been affecting the comic book movie genre in the recent past. James Gunn has a satisfying update in that regard. In simple words, no, you don't have to. The Guardians of the Galaxy director shared that while the movies in the universe may be connected in some way or other, they also work as individual stories. This means that fans don't need to scratch their head at a sudden plot or character jumping out of nowhere in the DCU movies. Gunn shared via Threads, "No, although they're connected and in the same universe, every project should work as an individual story in and of itself." Fans celebrated Gunn's response while bashing the MCU for its homework approach. The normal movie-going audiences found it extremely difficult to catch up with the MCU storyline, especially after Avengers Endgame. The introduction of Disney Plus shows, along with the 2 or 3 movies per year, proved very exhausting for the fans. The result was a huge drop in theatrical collections. An average movie like Brie Larson's The Marvels, which would have otherwise become a decent hit, failed miserably and couldn't recoup its overall budget at the theaters. Fans made it clear that they just didn't want to see WandaVision and Ms. Marvel to enjoy this film. Fans on X were more than happy to hear that they could enjoy individual DCU films without worrying about the connected stories. One fan mentioned the MCU issue, sharing that they began to tumble when Disney Plus shows made it confusing to keep up with the universe. Another fan noted that DCU will thrive because of this take on the storyline. One fan applauded James Gunn, sharing that it's the best way to handle such interconnected universes. They shared that those who are up to date should feel rewarded, and those not shouldn't feel punished. Another fan commented that it was a great idea from DCU to not rely on post-credit scenes. Some of the fan James Gunn has always been an innovative and original thinker, but even a genius filmmaker can sometimes be in need of some inspiration. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. The world of comics and CBM adaptations has always been filled with layered and complex morality. Be it Kevin Feige's MCU, James Gunn's DCU, or Eric Kripke's The Boys saga, the heroes and villains in every universe have been tempted by and flirted with shades of gray, often crossing over completely into morally questionable territories to find what they need. But an overindulgence in themes that bring fleeting satisfaction to the audience has spelled the doom of certain franchises in the past. Zack Snyder's DCU, namely, comes to mind. The gruesome downfall and embarrassment that the DC Extended Universe has had to bear for nearly a decade, from 2013 to 2022, will always be a dark chapter in the history of the CBM universe. It then comes as a surprise that the current Lord and Overseer of the new and improved realm of DC wants to regress into an era defined by morally complex characters rather than evolve with the times and usher in a better batch of heroes, gods, monsters, and villains. The potential of the DC universe is vast and untethered to any set rulebook of principles and guidelines. And yet, the stories of heroes such as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Flash have been revisited so many times that they have essentially become redundant and saturated. Zack Snyder's DCU later attempted to establish a new vision of the world of heroes and villains by making the genre more grounded, gritty, dark, and realistic than before. However, his universe came crashing down soon enough for reasons too convoluted to get into. The world, it seemed, was ready for a change even though the screams of disappointed fans echoed in the background. Now, years after the end of the DCU fiasco and Warner Brothers appointing James Gunn as head of the DC Universe, the filmmaker has come up with a plan. However, the only problem with the blueprint of the new universe is that it looks as repetitive as the origin story of Batman and as predictable as the virtue of Superman. In October 2022, Dwayne Johnson raised a one-man army to battle the battalions of critics and haters who seemed ready to tear down the world that Warner Brothers had built for nearly a century. His coup failed. Black Adam single-handedly called an end to the reign of DCU and all that it stood for. James Gunn was undeterred by all the controversy, however. When the filmmaker came on board to steer the newly formed DC Studios into better days, he made a promise to the fans who eagerly waited to see him falter and fail. In an interview with Gizmodo, published on January 31st, 2023, Gunn declared, "We're coming into a world where superheroes exist and have existed for some time in one form or another, and that's the universe. And so we are telling a big, huge central story. But we're also creating a universe that is like Star Wars, where there are different times, different places, different things, and like Game of Thrones, where characters are a little bit more morally complex." To reiterate once more, making the DCU a derivative of done-and-dusted themes from the past will only add to its problems. The comic book universe is a vast, never-ending, and inexhaustible lore of stories, characters, and tropes that can be wielded as freely as the creator of a universe wants. Sticking to morally gray characters like Snyder's DCU stands out as a huge red flag, considering Gunn's plans for the future. So far, he has only shown promise with John Cena's series Peacemaker, although the broader, overarching future of DC remains to be written in the pages of comic book history.